cancel, cancel, and you just keep right on going all the way down. And what you're going to have left is you're going to have 7 negatives left. Okay? And so, you've got more negatives, right, than you have positives, so that's why you're going to end up with a negative. Alright? Any other questions there? Okay. It's good to clear this up, because the negatives, that's where people tend to get hung up on these integers. And you got to get those issues cleared up now. Okay? Better to do it now. Alright, now let's look at some decimals. Let's say that we have a negative 4.9 plus 3.27. So are we going to end up with a positive or a negative? Do we have more negative or more positive? We have more negative, right? Now you can go ahead and off to the side. You got negative 4.9 and a positive 3.27. We know we're going to subtract, right? Now normally you're used to seeing the minus sign down here, but we know we're going to subtract, so let's go ahead and put our minus sign in our difference. Okay, so we've got to borrow, right? Borrow from 1 from the 9. Now we have 8. 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 2, what do we get? 6 point, and then 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay, so our answer is a negative 1.63. So if you have to, off to the side, work the problem and then come back, because right here this is only one step, but if you have several steps, you're going to want to work these off to the side and then go back down through your process of steps as you're going through the problem. Okay? And you can do that, that's fine. You still have to do what with the decimal points? Line them up, right, when you're adding or subtracting. Now, well, alright, never mind, we'll get to that. Any other questions with that? Okay, so that's your answer. Alright, here we have 6.7 plus 3.2 plus a negative 10.5. Okay, so we're going to start with the first two. So off to the side, we're going to write 6.7 and 3.2. And what are we doing here? What operation? Adding, right. So we're going to add. 7 plus 2, that's 8. Decimal point. 6 plus 3, that's 9. So we're going to write 9 plus 8, or 9.8 rather, plus,
That's 9.
or, wait a minute, yeah, 9, 7, oh that's 9.9, excuse me, let me redo that. 7 plus 2 is 9, see now I'm trying to put too fast here too. 6 plus 3 is also 9, so that's 9.9 plus a negative 10.5. So now what are we doing? Adding or subtracting? Subtracting. So you want to ask yourself that question, because now we want to subtract. We got negative 10.5 and a positive 9.9. So our answer is going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative, right? So we need to borrow, right? So that'll be 9, 10. So that's 15 minus 9, 6, right. And then 9 minus 9, so that'll be 0. So our answer is going to be a negative 0.6. So the thing that you have to watch out for is, the main thing you have to watch out for is the first step you added, the second step you subtracted, and you gotta remember to bring that negative down, because that's something you're not used to doing, and it's an easy thing to forget. Okay? Alrighty. Any questions? Alright, let's go to a new page. And here we have a negative 3.09 minus 4.6 minus 27.3. Okay, let's start with the first two. Here we got a negative 3.09 and a negative 4.6, and what are we doing? Adding or subtracting here?
Did you do the reverse? You're
Well,
starting out subtracting, but usually you change it in the next step.
yeah, that's right. You're gonna make that minus sign a plus, right? Change the sign of the next term only. Nothing, not after here, but just this next one. So you're actually doing what? Adding or subtracting? You're adding negatives, right? So we're going to go ahead and put a plus sign so that we're going to end up with, our answer is going to be a plus or minus. You got a negative minus negative is going to be making it more negative, right? See what I mean about the signs? You have to remember that you're adding, right? And that you're going to keep the signs when you're adding negatives. You're adding negatives here, so your answer is going to be negative. Okay, so we're adding, so that'll be 9 plus 0 is 9. 0 plus 6 is 6. 3 plus 4 is 7. So that's a negative 7.69 minus 27.3. Again, we're going to apply property of subtraction, so we're going to make the minus sign a plus, right? And then what? Right, change the sign, make it a negative 27.3. So again, off to the side, we're going to put a negative 7.69 plus a negative, give myself some room here, 27.3. We still have to line up the decimal points, right? Put a 0 here after the 3. Our answer is going to be a positive or a negative. Negative, good. And we add, right. So that'd be 9 plus 0 is 9, 6 plus 3 is 9, 7 plus 7, that's going to be what? 14, carry the 1, 3. Okay, so we get a negative 34.99. Okay? Any questions? The main thing that you've got to remember is you've got to slow down, think about, okay, what am I doing? Am I adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing? I'm adding negatives. So I got to keep my negative. Alright? And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Hey, what if you just added all three of them at one time without going through them steps? Would it equal up to about the same thing?
At this point, I would not recommend you do that, because all it takes is to add when you subtract when you should be adding, or doing the wrong operation,